Welcome to EdTech AM with me, Abid Patel.
And me, Meagan Alfano. Every episode, we rip up the script and take a fun look at tech, education, life, and everything in between. So jump on in and join us.
Hello,
Hi.
hello. How's it going, everyone?
Everyone is good.
Everyone is good indeed.
Just
How are
doing
you
you.
doing, Meagan?
I'm good. How are you?
Busy. It's been a crazy month and a bit since our last episode. We have been up to so much,
I
and
know.
I say we as in our personal lives. We've been up to so much, but we as in collectively as well have been up to so much. We've got
Yes.
so much exciting stuff to talk about today that we have been up to together.
Together, I know. It's been 6 years since we saw each other in real life.
July 2019 was the London Innovator Academy that where we first met,
And
then
established our friendship.
indeed, and then Johannesburg 2025.
I know. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. It was
What a
so much
wonderful experience. I mean, it's my third time in South Africa, which was wonderful. And it was your first time.
Yes.
But yeah, other than just such a wonderful experience, it was so cool to be in the same room
It
together again.
was. And to for multiple days too.
Yeah.
For what was it? It was Wednesday through Sunday? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
That's a lot of days, and we did activities, and we got to meet some awesome teachers and teach them the things that we love, and then hopefully they go on and love those things, and it was like the ripple effect, and the vibe of the conference was so good. We were talking about it before, but it was so refreshing to be at a conference where every teacher there was just so excited to learn the things that they were going to learn.
And now you know why I've been banging on about it for the last 3 years.
Oh, I know. I will now continue this.
Like I've said, I'm, for anyone who knows me, they know I am very fortunate to visit an awful lot of conferences, mainly around the UK, but also all around the world. But nothing compares to InnovateEDU. The energy, the passion, just the overall experience. And as workshop facilitators, international workshop facilitators who get called out there. I think what I love that what the team at Cloud EDU do is they give us so much time together as a team. And what I really enjoyed about it was the fact that it was a whirlwind and it went, the days just flew away, but at the same time didn't feel like they were flying away at the same time. They felt long but fast at
You did. It was a weird concept. You're so right, because we had 2 full days of activities with just the team, right? The team of presenters, workshop facilitators, and the Cloud EDU team. And those were we were so busy during those days. We were doing things together the whole time, but the days felt not rushed.
Yeah. Definitely.
If that makes sense. And hopefully we have some teachers maybe who went to InnovateEDU who are watching our podcast right now. Maybe we have some new friends who are joining us. And if we do, hello, friends. So good to see you again.
Hello. So good to see you. And please do comment on our YouTube and message us and keep in touch. We absolutely love to hear from you. Indeed, but it was amazing, some of the stuff that we did out there. Like we both flew in on the Wednesday, and I think almost straight away we were straight into a team meeting, and then had a really great dinner together. And then on the Thursday we went to Soweto, which was something new for me as well. So
that was new for you.
I've not been to Soweto. So the last time I was in Johannesburg was in 2023, and I went to the Apartheid Museum, and then afterwards I was presenting at the Admin Guru Masterclass. So I didn't get the chance to go to Soweto, so we did
Right.
that in reverse this year. So
Right. And so we
yeah,
went to Nelson Mandela's house, which for me was amazing. Absolutely loved that. And even just to see that space and learn. So I learned so much in that one day because, being from way over here, like I was so naive to the way South Africa is, the way people have lived, the way people live now. And so even at the conference, I found just learning from the educators and their schools and what that's like was so cool. So
indeed. And then after that, we walked over to the Henry Peterson Museum, which that was a brand new experience for me. I didn't
Hector
know.
Museum, yes.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the history behind that and stuff.
Yes,
So it was very, very eye opening
it
about
was.
the the history of South Africa, and
Yes.
very very humbling, shall I say?
Mhm.
Indeed.
It absolutely was.
Yes, and then it was for me. It was straight over to to Dane Fern College, which very kindly hosted us.
Mhm.
And I delivered delivered a talk at the Admin Guru Masterclass, which was great. And um, I always love and fear presenting to an fellow IT crowd, because it's kind of like um the IT my fellow IT professionals know what I'm going to say, sort of thing. And I was talking about AI, cybersecurity,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of like, right, how do I approach this? Because I usually talk to folks who don't know about it, and now I'm talking to a room of folks who do it for a living. But it was amazing. I
Yeah.
think that's the one thing that I always have such imposter syndrome about, is I fear standing up and just talking to people who know more than I do. And every time I present, it's amazing just seeing that light bulb jaw drop moment when you just say something that we take for granted, right? And
Yeah.
I've had it with simple things like, did you know Control C or Command C and then Command V does cut and paste and copy and paste, right? You think to yourself, everyone knows this, don't they? But it's amazing how many people I still come across that, will actually go to the menu, to the edit menu, and copy and edit and paste. And I was showcasing some stuff that I'd only learned in the last few days. Ironically, that week of InnovateEDU was when Google had their I/O conference, the
Yeah.
Google I/O conference, where they announced a whole load of new features. And one of the new features was Google Canvas, or
Mhm.
Gemini Canvas, where you can literally just ask it to do something, and it will code you literally like a web-based application.
Yeah.
And all I asked it to do was create me a simple password checker, and I showcased that in that. It was literally a 40-minute presentation, and everyone was just wowed by it, and that was amazing. But
Yeah.
that I've been in the Admin Guru Masterclass before. It's a wonderful day. Deirdre and Alistair, who lead on the admin side of things at Cloud EDU, deliver a great day of all of the technical updates. And just like the main 2 days of Innovate EDU, the crowd is just so engaged in there. So it's just amazing.
That's awesome. And you know what? Just going back to what you said about imposter syndrome, I think that I think that we all definitely feel that with the people who are above the level that we are, right? Because we're never the experts of everything. There's always somebody who knows more. And I feel that when somebody says, "Oh, I'm a robotics teacher," I'm like, "Okay, cool. Sounds good." But you know what? In one of my microbit sessions, somebody said something to me because they were having so much fun, and I was really self-conscious about like, is this enough? Am I challenging you enough? And they said, you know what? It's not that it's something new for me. It's that when I go to a workshop, the way that somebody presents something to me or that the ideas that they have for what to do with it are always different. because your perspective is going to be different than somebody else's. So it's not that you necessarily need to know more than that person. It's just what you know and the way you present it might be different than somebody else. And so then they have a fresh perspective as well. And I liked that. It made me feel a lot better because, I mean, this teacher was working with high school kids with Python, which is way above what I do typically, but they were able to kind of take what I'm doing and then extend, and it gave them some fresh ideas. So I'm sure that's what happened to you as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things I always like to say is when I go to conferences in the UK, I get the opportunity to go see and sit in lots of sessions for people who I speak to almost every day on a daily basis. And so I kind of know what they're going to talk about. But the things that I love about that is what I get from what I learn from their delivery.
Yeah.
And I think I've always said one of the things I really dislike about InnovateEDU is the fact that you never get to see your fellow presenters present because
Oh,
you're
except for
busy
those
presenting
Ignite.
it. What was that?
Except for those Ignite talks.
Oh yes,
Man, oh,
and
want to talk
didn't I
about
tell you the Ignite
imposter
talk?
syndrome.
The Ignite talks are absolutely amazing.
You're
I've
fired.
always said so. I delivered an Ignite in 2023 and
Yeah.
2024, and that Ignite talk that I delivered in 2023 changed everything for me. That was just and you did one this year,
I did.
and I will say it, Megan, you absolutely smashed it.
Oh, thank
And
you for saying that. But holy moly, I will say, like watching, I was the last one of that day. So watching the other facilitators go first, I was like, okay, we are really good at this. So it was, but you know what? It's funny because you see people go up and then you just kind of naturally, I think, meet that energy level. Like the expectation for that Ignite was very clear, right? So it just happens, I guess. But
I
man,
think what I felt when I did my one in over the last 2 years is you really feed off the energy of the crowd. Like you feed off
absolutely.
the energy of that day. I'm glad that my both in the last 2 years, both of mine were on the Friday afternoon, just like your one.
Yeah.
And it's because you've experienced the whole day. You've
Yes.
experienced the energy in in the in the entire space, and then suddenly everyone is in that one room,
Yep.
and
Just buzzing from the day.
you're just feeding off that. And I think that's what it is, but that's the bit that takes you from just a workshop facilitator to superstardom status in South Africa.
It was
Like
so fun. It was
yeah.
so fun. And thank you again, if you're listening and you heard my Ignite talk, thank you from the bottom of my heart for laughing at my jokes because I needed that.
It's always good when we don't get the tumbleweed effect, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure because again, the jokes and the sarcasm is dry and it just kind of falls out of my mouth. And it's nice when people are like, huh, good one. So that's always appreciated.
No, and that's even more poignant to say that in South Africa, given the cultural differences, right? We're very much from inverted commas Western nations,
Yeah.
right? And uh, we're flying over to South Africa, where
Oh,
it's a very different way of life, and uh, just for the folks at the conference, and that really it's a really good segue onto mine. What I wanted to speak about was the fact that before I flew to Johannesburg for the conference, I actually spent 3 days in Durban. So
mhm.
I flew into South Africa on the Sunday, actually the week before the conference, and then flew over to Durban and spent 3 days with with family who I never actually knew I had.
That's good.
I knew I had my cousin, and hadn't seen him for 30 years, and so it was amazing to see my cousin after so long. But in 30 years, he's had kids. His kids have had kids. You know, they've
Yeah.
built an entire community there together, and It was a very, very different experience to what I've experienced in Johannesburg and in Cape Town with InnovateEDU. He lives in a very rural part of Durban. He lives a very, very simple life. I've never eaten so much homemade food. Like when I say homemade food, like my wife is a great cook and she cooks
Oh,
everything homemade, but that's very much like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? We'll
yeah,
still have a packet of crisps here, and we'll still have some biscuits, and we'll still have chocolate and things like that that we go and buy from the store.
right.
No, they make everything. We
Wow.
had muffins in the morning, croissants in the morning. Their
Wow.
bread was homemade, like everything was homemade, which was amazing. I finally got the opportunity to try South African braai, which I've been wanting to try for years and years and years, and we had homemade braai, which was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And that whole experience in 3, I said it was such it was such an eye-opening 3 days where it was a very low tech 3 days. They live a very low tech life. Don't get me wrong, they have smartphones and they're
Oh, yeah.
aware of that. What was funny was he lives right opposite a mosque, and in the mosque courtyard they've got a massive 5G tower. I've never had such good
Right.
5G coverage, and I live in London, right?
Yeah. Do you
Like,
feel like they
uh,
made an intentional choice to live low tech?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was phenomenal. Like, I have first cousins who live 5-10 minutes away from me here in the UK, and I've not seen them in years.
Right.
And yet I've not seen these people in 30 years, and I've never felt so more connected with family. It was
Oh,
such
yeah.
an amazing eye-opening experience, and I very much went to Durban with the intention of, "This is my one and done. I'll go say hello to family, and
Right.
then we'll see. I probably won't come back," sort of thing.
Oh,
We'll see about it. Now I want to go back every year because,
yeah.
like, it's amazing. Like, I've been in touch. I've suddenly got an entire generation of family members that I never knew I had, and
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal experience, and it was really, really earthing. Really brought you back down to earth, like, to really appreciate the finer things. And when I say the finer things, it was hilarious. As soon as I got there on the Sunday, had lunch, and then my cousin says to me, "Right, um, we've got a room prepared for you, so we're going to take you there. You go get some rest and stuff." So I'd decided to take a nap, and then got woken up by some noises outside. I was thinking, "What are these noises?" Right? Not recognizing these animals. There was a dog barking. I
Right.
recognize that, but
Knew
I'm
that
like,
one.
I don't know what the other noises are. So I walked out onto a very nice balcony they had, and they had a primary school right opposite a very traditional South African primary school. I was like, well, there's no kids here because it's Sunday today.
Right.
So, like, what's making the noises? And as I'm just looking up and down the road, I can see, oh, it's like, oh, look, there's a monkey out there. Okay.
The other kids.
I guess that's what's making the noises. And then suddenly I look straight on at the primary school, and an entire colony of monkeys
Like,
is
it's
is
Sunday.
and I'm there, I'm there very much doing the tourist thing with my smartphone, taking a video,
Oh,
and
who
then
would?
it suddenly hit me to say, "That's an awful lot of monkeys, and they're quite close, and I've got a big balcony door wide open. I should probably close that and go inside," which
Yeah.
I'm glad I did, was because when I relayed the story to my cousins, they were like, "Good idea, because if they'd got into the house, they would have absolutely ransacked the
That
place."
would have been
Um,
a bit of a disaster.
yes. So,
Monkey.
a
Oh,
very, very, very new experience for me, Durban, which was amazing. But,
oh, that's so
yeah, that was it. It was a wonderful week, absolutely wonderful week.
cool.
The conference itself, everything around it, and then we absolutely finished it on a high, with a mini safari.
Yeah, you wanna talk about playing the tourist game. There is a picture of me, with my favorite animal, which is a giraffe. Because the touristiest of touristy things happened, in which I went up some stairs to become eye level with said giraffe, of which I handed it. I don't know who had food, but I found some because I didn't pay anything for it. just found some nuggets that had fallen, stole it from somebody. I'm not sure. I kind of blacked out and was just so excited. And I fed the giraffe. The giraffe ate from my hands and I got to snuggle it. And it was amazing.
I think there was a moment, Megan, where the rest of the team just stepped back and everyone was just focused on you, completely tranced in the zone, feeding the giraffe, and we're
It's
like,
so funny because you know what? It's true. It happened and I didn't notice, which is just like, I was so self-conscious about it, but I was like, that is so sweet. Everyone literally like just took a step back and let me have this moment with this baby giraffe or whatever teenager giraffe, because it wasn't full grown. And then I remember looking back and being like, oh, does anyone else like giraffes? But I was just like, it's all about me and this giraffe right now.
oh, 100%. It was just how naturally it happened, where we're just like, right, okay, we're just gonna leave Megan to have her moment.
With this wild animal.
But it was a wonderful moment,
Oh,
very
good.
picturesque, and yes, we did get some great pictures,
And we saw some other
which was
cool
amazing.
animals too.
Indeed.
Cheetahs, lions, tigers. The tigers, they're not native to Africa uh,
Mm.
in any way, shape, or form, but they were there.
Well,
Um,
I'd never seen white lions and white tigers before.
yes, that
Yeah,
was
that was
really
my
cool. I learned about the different kinds of zebras. We had rhinos. The rhinos were fantastic. Those cheetahs were
uh,
also really cool. And the
wh
dogs,
what you
wild
say
dogs.
about the zebras, like, I did not know that zebras have white stripes. Is
Yes,
that the
they're
way around?
black
Yeah,
with white stripes.
yeah, that was mind-blowing. Like,
It's so
we've grown
unnatural
up.
because their bellies are white. So you
Yeah,
would assume, right? But no.
yeah. But no,
Mhm.
that was a new thing to learn.
Mhm.
But yeah, we got to see it, and the wild dogs, that was interesting.
The noise of the wild dogs was so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that was the most fascinating bit was how they eat all of their food and then regurgitate the food
Mhm.
and then re-eat it, because they eat all of the food to carry it back to
Uh-huh.
their to their family, and then regurgitate the food out and then share it, which was,
Because
interesting to
sharing
watch.
is caring. My favorite was actually our guide because one of the dogs did this, right? Which is hilarious because we called it a safari light, right?
Mm,
Because we
yeah,
were in a nature preserve. It wasn't, the animals were free roaming, but they were fed by the people who run the preserve. So the guide was taking us through and it was feeding day. So the dogs did this. And he, like, how many drives has this man done? Like, this was his full time job. And the look of horror on his face when it was actually happening was like, does this happen to you every Tuesday and Thursday? Or like, what? It was so funny. I loved
yeah,
it. I loved it. I could talk about the safari animals all day. Who needs ed tech when we
yeah,
can
indeed.
talk
Who
about
needs a tech?
giraffes and
Well,
cheetahs?
and it was such a wonderful way to just end that entire week.
Yeah. And no one was working. The conference was done. Everybody, and actually, CloudEDU was really good about that. Our time together at the end of the evening was very tech free,
Mm,
right? We
indeed.
were able to just talk and sit and laugh and connect with one another. I really liked that.
I think, it's one of the most wonderful parts of the experience is just the time you get to bond as a team.
Yeah.
But then also just the conference itself
Oh,
and the
yeah.
educators, like, you learn so much just being there, and the conversations that you have and the connections you make out of it, people who've connected with us on LinkedIn and social media, and just
Mhm.
following what they're doing and they're following what you're doing,
Oh, yeah.
and also the fellow presenters, like, you meet new people who you've not previously met before, which is, and really helps. For me, the essence of every conference I ever go to is about the networking and the connections. and
Yeah.
I feel that with InnovateEDU, it happens probably more powerful than any of them. That which is just wonderful. So that was so nice,
Such
and it was like, and come back to, it was so nice to be in the same room again after
Yeah.
6 long years, and let's hope it's not another 6 years before
Yes.
before the next time.
Fingers crossed. Thanks. Thank you,
Indeed.
Cloud EDU, for bringing us together again in real lives.
Yes, thank you very much, Cloud EDU.
All right. I suppose we could talk about technology if you want to. I could talk about
Yeah, I
graphs
mean,
all day, but let's do it.
yeah, I mean, what's the name of our podcast again?
Something about
EdTech.
tech. I don't know.
Well, it has been a busy month
Yeah.
in the world of EdTech. There were two very major big tech announcements. So Google I/O, which happened the week of InnovateEDU, where
Mhm.
Google announced a whole load of new AI-related announcements.
Yep.
Lots of new AI stuff coming to Gemini. I don't know if we've talked about Notebook LM, but
We haven't
again,
really. No, Gemini is getting pretty cool.
yeah, I
It's getting
mean,
pretty cool.
it's really interesting. I put a poll out the other day on one of my WhatsApp groups and
Mhm.
said, if you had to choose one,
Yeah,
because these subscriptions are getting quite expensive,
fair.
but if you had to choose one subscription and only one, would you choose ChatGPT Plus or would you choose Gemini AI or Google AI Pro or whatever it's
Right.
called?
I'm interested what that.
And if you'd asked me this question just about 4 months ago, I would have hands down said ChatGPT,
Right.
no questions asked.
Which is valid
Yeah,
feature-wise.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, OpenAI have been the industry lead when it came to generative AI and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and sort of just using my the results I was getting out of ChatGPT were better, or I found them better than the ones I was getting out of Gemini,
Right.
and
Yeah.
which was fine. And I've been paying for ChatGPT Plus for several months now. But just before InnovateEDU, because I was presenting on AI in education, I decided to get myself a Gemini premium subscription
Okay.
just to see, just so I could properly compare the two for in preparation for the presentation.
Mhm.
And it has very pleasantly surprised me. It's
Yeah.
kind of blown me away by like excelling on certain things that ChatGPT, I won't say ChatGPT hasn't been able to do. Like there is
Right.
still, I feel like ChatGPT still has some strengths. Its image generation, which has
Excellent.
kind of gone viral in the last few months.
Yeah.
ChatGPT's image generation is still sort of on that is sort of still the top. But Gemini's content creation has been very, very strong for me.
Yes.
It's improved in a lot of things that it didn't have previously, where it couldn't. You can get it to remember things across conversations. You'd have to
Right.
constantly remind it,
Yeah.
which was annoying. But now you're able to do that. And sort of I've been very, very pleasantly surprised with Gemini,
Yeah.
to the point where it's kind of, I'm now weighing up which one do I cancel, right?
Mm,
Do I?
that's fair. And you know what? Sorry to interrupt you, but I was just saying, with some of these new Gemini announcements, the integration of Gemini into some of these Google tools also might start to sway people as well, right? Because it's everybody's looking like Canva, everybody's looking for that one hub, that one thing. And so if Gemini is improving, which it definitely is, and it's also integrated into the tools that we use if you're using Google tools, then that's easy.
It's that age-old argument when it comes to tech, cloud-based platforms, right? During the pandemic, everyone was using Zoom, right?
Right.
To do, because everyone did that with the sole purpose of they wanted to have they wanted to have meetings, right?
Yeah.
Or virtual meetings. And Zoom was the one that everyone kind of jumped on. It became the verb, let's have a Zoom, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and it grew in popularity. When people started to think of the cloud-based productivity on top of that, that's when it suddenly became a conversation to say we can have Zoom, which is purely a 100% cloud-based virtual meeting tool, or we can have Google Workspace, which has Google Meet, but also has Google Docs, Sheets and Slides and Forms and all of the additional Drive and all of the additional stuff. Or
Yeah.
you could have Microsoft 365, which has Word, Excel, PowerPoint,
Yes.
and OneDrive and Teams and all of that. And it became a conversation as to Zoom does one thing,
Mhm.
whereas those platforms do multiple things.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're getting into the same boat when it comes to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is solely focused on large language model generative AI,
Yeah.
right? Which is great. But with Google AI Pro subscription, you get Gemini Premium. You also get 2 terabytes of Google Drive space. You get access to Gemini within your Google Workspace in Docs, Sheets and Slides and Forms. You get Google Vids. You get a whole load
Yeah.
of other things.
Well, and like for the average person or the average teacher for that matter who's using AI to do work for their classroom to help save them time. We'll talk about what we're not using AI for in a second. It's enough. It's doing enough. The capabilities, the features is enough for what they need. Like I am opposite of you. I pay 0 subscriptions for any AI tools because I won't. So I use ChatGPT until it tells me that I am all done using ChatGPT. And then I pop on over to Gemini. But I will use Gemini all the time I use it a lot for like helping me plan outlines and things like that. Or if I need like a catchy name for something or some ideas, I use it a lot like in my life, like personal life too, right? It's great for a meal plan. It's more than capable. So I would definitely fall under, like, for my work and for my life, the average AI user, I would say. And then yeah, I find it completely fine, and I like that it's getting integrated in some things for my own use. But it does add another layer of, if it's, if the students have that, then we need to be looking at that too. So it's harder
And
to run from it now,
on
teachers.
on that point, I think that's where Gemini is starting to have Gemini and equally Copilot have the advantage is, so Gemini you can now use with students age 13 and over.
Yes.
Um, it's now Gemini, if you're using your school Google Workspace account, it's now protected by the same terms and conditions. It's covered by the same terms and conditions.
Yeah.
So anything you put into Gemini for education is not used to train the Google AI models, and all of the data is safe and secure. Which I don't know if we have in with ChatGPT in the UK yet. Copilot, Microsoft are doing the same with Copilot for education, and so and there are and for a fact that Google are working on bringing those AI tools to users of all ages, right?
Yes.
And so are Microsoft, and so immediately that becomes available to everyone within an organization,
Whether you're
and
ready or not.
suddenly there's an advantage there, right? That suddenly they've got an advantage, and
Yeah.
that's why I think it's, I'm glad that there's competition out there, right? It's good that
That's
it's not just one, but I'm pleased by some of the announcements. And I think the one jaw-breaking announcement, that the jaw-dropping announcement that Google made at Google I/O was live translation during Google Meet, where you could be having a conversation during Google Meet with someone
Yeah.
in a different language. So they're speaking a different language to you. So I could be speaking English, you could be speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you watch the news and the person starts doing the interview and then you have the voiceover,
Yes.
you literally get that. You literally get the
So
part
cool.
where the person's voice will be, the volume will be turned down on their voice, and Gemini AI will take over and actually live translate what they're saying.
So, like, from a classroom teacher perspective, your community of where you can learn from and who you can learn from has just expanded. Because, I mean, I don't know, did you have pen pals when you were in school? Did you
Pen
have,
pals.
like, schools? So,
Oh,
like,
right. Yeah. Oh,
far
yeah,
away
yeah,
from
yeah.
you, right? So we
Yeah.
had some, I can't remember where they were from. I think they were from the United States, so not that far. But we would write back and forth, and they would ask, Canadian questions like, do you live in an igloo? Have you ever seen a polar bear? No to both. And all of those things. But just think about, like, to be able to learn about a place in school and then connect with students who actually learn in that place, right? That's where they live their lives. So cool. And I love when these AI tools are being used for stuff like that, to open the world up, to help learning. That makes me so happy. And it kind of blows over the other things. Like, I don't know if you've seen the trend. I want to talk about it real quick, where teachers are uploading their class photo and they're turning them into, like, essentially a coloring sheet. So like a cartoon version of their class. And there's been a huge thing on TikTok and social media in general about, like, you shouldn't be doing that, because like, we should know at this point in time about privacy and how to protect our students. It's been a conversation forever now. I feel like it's cute and it's adorable and it's the kids would love it, yes, but at what cost? It's always like, what are you doing and at what cost? I don't want to rain on AI's parade, because there's a lot of really good stuff coming out, but just like a friendly reminder to our friends who may be considering doing that, please don't put the little people that you're in charge of on the internet. Please don't put the little people that you're in charge of in situations that compromise their privacy. Okay, thanks.
And this isn't something new to AI
No.
tools. I was literally just having this conversation this week to say, this applies to all EdTech tools.
Yes.
Viral trends will kick off straight away on social media to say, hey, jump on this new thing and look what it can do.
But
When
let's
we
use
use it,
our brains that we have.
yeah, when we're using them in a education environment, or even in our personal lives, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be boring here. Terms and conditions, they mean something. The fine print, the small stuff, right? The one that everyone happily clicks I accept without knowing what you're accepting.
Yeah.
It's we now more than ever, we need to read and understand privacy policies and terms and conditions, and what is happening with our data. If we're going to be using these tools with the students, are they even allowed to use it at their ages? These are really, really important considerations that we need to have, probably more so now with AI, but then these have always been very important conversations that we've kind of, I get it, right? We all go to work, we're all very stressed out, we all live very busy lives. We go in with a one-track mind, we want to get the job done, right? And sometimes it comes back to the fundamental fact that the ends doesn't justify the means.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really all I wanted to say on that. I just
No, but I think it's a very,
excited.
very, very valid point. And with things like Gemini and Google Workspace, that's becoming a lot easier to do now, because your data is protected to some extent, but then that doesn't apply to all tools out there. And so there are lots of AI large language models out there, especially the free ones. And it always comes back to, whenever you talk about free in tech, right? Nothing is free in tech. You are always paying for something, right? Or you are always paying with something, right?
Yes.
And when you're not paying with cash, you're paying with yourself. You're paying with your data. You are the commodity there. And I think it's really, really important to understand that I've had a lot of arguments about privacy with people, and it's like, oh, well, if Google want to know what I'm doing on Sunday afternoon, then it doesn't matter, I'm a boring person. And it's like, it's not just that simple. It's not just about us. We have to take into account the mindset about using these tools, especially when we're using it with other people, especially when we're using it with young people.
Yes, I was going to say young people who have not necessarily consciously made that choice, or cannot legally make that choice.
Yeah.
So
100%. And a lot of things that I spoke about in my workshops at InnovateEDU was about the ethical considerations when it comes to AI and bias, and realizing that what you put in and the result that you get out isn't necessarily reflective of everyone in the whole world, right? There are, we just went to South Africa, right?
Yeah.
The African continent is full of, millions of people that don't have access to these tools, and their communities and their culture is not being captured by artificial intelligence, and what's necessary and what's reflective of their lives. So that's a really, really important thing that we need to
Yeah.
consider.
Yes. And on the topic of all of the AI happening over at Google, let's talk about what's not happening at Apple. You like that segue?
Some very awkward conversations have happened around Apple's WWDC, their Worldwide Developer Conference, which happened just this week. And they did address it credits to them, they addressed the elephant in the room about how they did promise last year that Siri was going to become very, very intelligent, or
Right.
Apple intelligent, as they like to call it, and have like proper context and understanding as to sort of how it works and stuff. And that hasn't transpired. They very politically put it as it didn't reach our high bar of expectancy, but we're aiming to get there.
That
And
is
then
fair.
and then very quickly pivoted to the big announcements that they've just come up with for iOS and iPadOS and stuff. So before you had iOS 18, you had iPadOS 18, you had macOS 15, you had watchOS 10, you had visionOS 1, tvOS, I can't remember,
Okay.
and the numbering system was crazy. And
Right.
they've brought everything together and changed to the year numbering system. So
Wouldn't that
now
make sense? Love it.
everything is now 26.
Perfect.
Because by the time these things are going to be released, they're going to be in autumn or the fall.
Yep.
And they're going to be mainly for 2026. And so they had iOS 26, iPadOS 26, macOS 26. One thing that one of the big announcements they did was there's a brand new design language across the entire operating system range, which was nice to see. So it's a new design they call liquid glass,
Yes.
and everything looks very glassy and
Very
very,
fancy. It's very
very,
Apple. I
yeah,
will say, when
very,
I
very
saw it, I
Apple
was like,
indeed.
yes, this checks out.
Yeah. And so it's a you could say it's a nice refresh for
Yeah.
what has looked quite similar for
It's been a while.
many years. And there were some great announcements that they made with regards to, like, brand new features coming to their devices. But I think the one thing for me that stole the show was iPadOS. And there's always been an argument, especially with the more recent iPads. The more recent iPads are very, very powerful. Both you and I right now are using a MacBook,
Yeah.
and which has the M2 chip, I think it is. And we've got iPads now that have the M3 and the M4 chips, right? And the iPad, that if to have an M2 chip in that has been overkill all that time, because
Right.
up until probably this release, the iPad was a glorified iPhone, right?
Yes. A
With
bigger
apps and stuff
iPhone.
like that.
Yeah.
What they have done this year is they have turned the iPad into a proper productivity device that
Cool.
almost reflects the Mac, to the point
That's
where
what I've heard.
you've now got full window management on you can run multiple apps like you would, to the point where I used to argue there's no point in anyone getting the 13-inch iPad Pro, because it's just, such a big iPad that you're just
Yeah.
going to run single apps on, or you can run
Right.
them in
What?
split view. Now the iPad 13-inch looks like a very viable alternate option
Alternative to the
for,
Mac?
like, yeah, to especially for, I think one of the things I really, really missed when we were on the flight to South Africa was the fact I used to have an iPad, which I've now given to my kids, but I missed having that device. But I only used to use it for watching content, right? And I never used to, everything else I'd fire out my Mac and
Yeah.
just focus on that and do proper productivity on that. And I never used to feel like I could do proper productivity on a Mac, on an iPad.
Mhm.
but now you've got a proper cursor, you've got window management, you can tile windows, you can use windows on top of windows, like
Well,
the
and we've got the touch screen too, right? So
yeah.
that interactivity is really nice too.
Yeah, and I think the iPad definitely stole the show, which was great to see. There's new features coming to the Mac. One of the things that I've always, and we talked about Raycast. I think on our first episode we talked about Raycast, which I use on the Mac for
Yeah.
clipboard history. They've brought that into Spotlight search, which is great. I was slightly disappointed we didn't get like some proper updates to Safari, because I'd love to see Safari get some new updates to make it a real viable alternative to Google Chrome.
Yeah,
But going back to Google's announcement, one thing that they announced was Gemini is coming to Google Chrome. At the moment, it's only available in US English, and on the latest version of Chrome, and so I haven't actually been able to use it yet. But
Oh,
when
okay.
that finally comes, like being able to have Gemini use the context of what's open in your tab
Mhm.
is just phenomenal, and I think that's going to be really, really useful.
It's a pretty cool, like, I'm excited to use it as like a research tool.
Yeah.
Because we'll talk about what's coming up with me once it's approved and finalized in the next episode as far as what I'm doing next year. But should I be with students who are over the age of 13, from a research standpoint, pretty neat.
I'm really excited for that.
Okay. You could be really excited.
No, definitely, but it's on that note, it's going to be an interesting few months, because we've all got some interesting things coming our way, or uncertain times coming
Yes.
our way, or start of different journeys. So yeah.
What is happening? And by next year, I just need to note that next year for me, I don't know if it's for you, but next year for me is always September.
Yeah.
So when I say next year, I actually mean September.
Yeah,
Yeah,
academic year.
my husband actually like clarifies that with people when I speak to them and I say next year. He's like, she means September, not January, just so you know.
I think we educators probably
Yes,
get that a lot, isn't it? Where we
yeah,
we we run on school calendars, not
we do.
not.
Yeah, I completely, as far as I'm concerned, January is when they change the numbers, but they might as well just change them in September.
Indeed, indeed.
Right.
Yes, it's been a busy few months
Yeah.
in the world of tech. It's been a busy few months in the world of cybersecurity. We've had crazy retail attacks on cybersecurity, and that was one of the other sessions that I did in InnovateEDU, which always goes down very scarily, but eye-openingly, if that's the
Yeah.
right phrase.
Yeah. You
Um,
open their eyes and scare them straight.
well, I always start any cybersecurity presentation with my job is to ensure you leave sufficiently terrified,
Yes.
because it is
I can vouch
terrifying
for
stuff.
this. I have been sufficiently terrified on more than one occasion.
Yes.
And now I have multiple passwords, so thanks.
And password managers and all of
Sure
that
do.
stuff. But it's a forever ongoing challenge. I've been working at my current institution for 11 years now, and I'm still having that conversation day in, day out about, make sure you use different passwords, make sure you use password managers, make sure you're like extra vigilant. And with all of the stuff on AI, cyber attack is just getting more and more sophisticated
Right.
through AI. Like AI, I just went to a information security conference for over the last 3 days, and oh wow, if there was a trend, that they jumped on the trend, like every single, like over the last few years, you go to the conference and it's like, threat intelligence and cybersecurity and every buzzword you could think about cybersecurity. And then this year it was not threat intelligence, it was AI driven threat intelligence
Oh,
and
yes.
AI powered cybersecurity and stuff like that. So it was very much, very much. going on the coattails of the current trend of AI, and
Right.
there are good uses of AI and there are bad uses of AI,
Yeah.
um, and it is something that we need to be really considerate of.
Yes, for sure. I actually am going to push you ahead really quickly because you are going on another worldwide adventure. And
I completely
tell us
forgot.
about it.
I am going to ISTE, to San Antonio, Texas. So my
So excited for you.
second time in the USA and my first time in Texas, which I've heard lots of interesting things about. And I've been
You'll like
told Texas is like a country within a different country. So really, really excited to experience that. But yes, I am going to my second ISTE, which is really exciting. I'm presenting two sessions. I'm doing my cybersecurity in education session again, which again, to a different crowd, really, really great.
it.
But the big one that we're really excited for is EdTech Smackdown.
Excellent.
So it will be the first time the A, B, I, and the D has been seen live in public, driving EdTech Smackdown. And so, if you haven't seen EdTech Smackdown, we will leave a link for it in the show notes. It is what I could probably describe as just an absolutely crazy, insane hour of just utter edtech boisterous madness.
Boisterous is
Um,
such a good word to describe you with your sunglasses on.
oh yeah, yeah. It's my alter ego. I'm
Yeah.
reverse Superman. So you know how Clark Kent takes the glasses off.
Mhm.
I
You
put them on. I put
Yes.
them on.
Yes, it's
Yes.
like me with a microphone. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just lacking the super strength, which I'm working on. But
Oh, these
maybe
things need
one day.
time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, really, really excited for that. I can't believe how quickly that's come round, like
Oh, I know.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
In fact, 2 weeks today, I fly out and,
Today you're on a plane.
yes, indeed. So,
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, really excited for that.
I'm excited to watch it because I will not be attending ISTE, unfortunately, again. I would really like to go one year. If they're listening, maybe just bring it a little bit up. If you could bring it a little bit up to north, maybe Montana. If you want to go as far as Canada, I wouldn't say no to that. I hear Edmonton is really nice this time of year. If you want to bring all of the educators, not too far away from me, that would be
Is
awesome.
is it really nice this time of year? 'Cause I'm always very wary of how your temperatures are,
You know
Meagan.
what? It's just fine. It's very warm. It's actually raining today, which is great because I don't know if you know about our new season, which is called On Fire. So now in Canada, we have winter, we have spring, we have on fire, and then we have fall where the fires are done, and then we go back into winter. So this span of months where we can go outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, it's been 20 degrees plus, so nice, has sprouted some pretty epic fires, unfortunately, across Canada. It seems to be becoming a yearly thing, which is too bad for obviously those people, but also the smoke has been crazy. So today it is raining and it's really nice because the air quality is low. We can go outside. Yeah, we're going to get wet, but no, it's really nice this time of
Well, we are approaching our few weeks of summer that we get
year. Yeah.
in London, and today I sat in, after work, I sat in my car and saw 31 degrees in my
No,
car, which was,
that was
yeah,
last
we
week for us. So
no,
nice. I know. You
yeah,
know what? Everyone gives me a hard time for weather. We are at very similar latitudes, and I am nowhere near an ocean. So it's beautiful.
yeah,
Don't
nice.
get all the mist blowing me in the face, except for today.
Well, let's hope we get a more West Coast ISTE, more West Coast Northern ISTE very
Yes, perhaps.
soon, not
I would also
not in on fire
Disneyland.
season.
Yes, yes, not fire season. Disneyland, I hear is very nice this time of year. ISTE. We could go back to Anaheim.
Yeah, I would love to go back to Anaheim because, that's the ISTE I didn't get to go to,
That's
where
the ISTE I
because
went.
of, a pandemic that happened apparently.
Yes, the pandemic, which shall not be named.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, well, so good to see you again, as
Yeah.
always.
Absolutely.
The next time I see you, you'll be back from ISTE, so we can hear all about EdTech's back down.
Yes, indeed, indeed. And we've got an exciting few plans in the
Yes.
works for EdTech AM. We will be bringing on guests very soon. So we're hoping to have our first guest very, very soon. And yeah, looking forward to that.
Yes, you will get to hear from other people that are not just us.
Yeah.
And so that will be refreshing. I'm sure that they'll miss us though.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
But we'll be back as
We'll be
always
there.
with our EdTech, just talk about all the EdTech episodes.
Yeah.
And then we'll have guest episodes as well.
Yes. It's going to be great. So
Yes.
looking forward to it. If you're finishing out your school year, have an awesome end to your school year. I know some of us here on the western side of the world, I don't know, it's round. I'm not sure what to call that. But
We've
over
still
here,
got
North
we've still got
Americans,
a couple of months here in the UK, so we finish towards the end of July.
you finished towards the end of July. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Oh,
we
okay,
finished.
well then you too.
Yes, we finished towards the
Amazing.
end of July, but we might be back for another episode before that. But
I think so.
yes,
Yes.
rounding off. But for those of you who are going into summer, enjoy your summer.
Enjoy. Have the best time.
Indeed. And those of you who are going to ISTE, see you soon.
Have fun.
Come and say hello, and yeah,
Yeah. Go find him. Take a
yeah,
selfie.
indeed, definitely.
Okay.
Cool. Right. See you later,
Awesome.
everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.